What's going on, guys? We are back for the last time talking about Rlcs. Not really, because we're going to be talking all the time, but the season is over. Rlcs 2025. If you don't want to be spoiled, if you haven't watched the World Championship yet, go back and watch it. It was a doozy. But NRG taking home the title. Congratulations to them. North America back on top. What a roller coaster of a year it was for all of North America, for even NRG, in my opinion. Again, I know NRG super fans are going to be like, I was right the whole time. We knew they were great. But hey, even Coach Matthews like, hey, we weren't supposed to be a defensive team. It just kind of happened that way, and then we finally figured it out at the right time. So let's talk about power rankings. We're going to talk about our top 12, I decided, for the full season, and we're going to go from there, and we're going to figure all this out. I haven't really thought about it too hard yet, so we're going to do it live like we always do. I feel like it's better to have that conversation, right, live. I have more fun with it. I hope you guys enjoy watching it as well. So let's get right into it. So we're going to go over here to our screens. We don't have the final yet. This is the pre-Worlds one, but I'll show you the pre-Worlds one, and then we'll probably flip back and forth here or there. It's smaller up top over there because we want to show results a lot so you guys can see what I'm looking at across the board and then get my opinions and feelings on it. So first off, global rankings, pre-Worlds. This is basically our base, and we will end on it. The one thing I didn't do was add the Gentlemates into a pre-Worlds power ranking. I will add them back in for this final power ranking if they make top 12, which they might. So just letting you guys know that now. So let's get into it. We're going to start in the final power rankings. Obviously, number one, if you win the World Championship, you're de facto number one. In all my final power rankings, I don't really care. You'll probably be number one. If next season, if we have similar rosters across the board, preseason power rankings, I think, are a little bit different, where I could decide, like, hey, energy might be lower. I'm not saying they're going to be lower. I'm just saying that's how it is. So, NRG. I'm not going to do the energy hate train here, okay? I promise. Energy, number one. I'm just warning you for preseason rankings next year. NRG, number one. Congratulations to them. Honestly, had a little bit of a Mickey run for a while, but you play who's in front of you. But then at the end of the day, you get the best team in the best form, Falcons, and you dominate the finals. Huge performance from them. Congratulations to them. World champs, number one, with a bullet. You don't have to worry about it. Falcons, number two. K-Corp will be number three. And I'll just throw Dig down here so we don't lose them as we're talking here. So this is pretty simple. At the end of the day, Falcons took down K-Corp. I feel like K-Corp probably at times looked the best on the field. I would say Energy probably looked best on the field third most through most of this tournament. And then in the final, they really stepped up and just destroyed. I think Falcons were probably number one before the finals. And then K-Corp was probably number two pre-finals. But all three of them had really good tournaments. K-Corp obviously had the one blemish versus Ultimates, as we can see down here, that forced them into that Falcons matchup. Otherwise, very likely they wouldn't have paired off that early. They might have been in the upper bracket quarterfinals here, but not any sooner than that. But yeah, K-Corp Falcons both had fantastic tournaments. Top three tier. That was a big gap. We're talking about our big gaps again. We had the big gaps with just Falcons and K-Corp pre-event. Now we got a big gap with Energy, Falcons, and K-Corp moving forward. After this, it gets a bit messy. So Ultimates, we had at 8. Like, Ultimates are going to be your big movers here, right? They obviously take down K-Corp in group stage without the crowd. When it comes to crowd, though, unfortunately, they fell flat, versus K-Corp at least. They did take Energy to Game 7. First game in front of crowd for both of them. Maybe a little nervy at times. For now, we'll put them 4. I'm not they'll probably stay there, but honestly, I'm not sure. So we'll just do that for now. We'll move Vitality over here. We'll just keep swapping teams around. For now, put them at 4. They did have good results in the group stage. Is really what's going to carry their ranking. They beat GK. They beat K-Corp. That is very, very good. That is a very difficult group. The only team that was not very difficult in that group was Virtus Pro, and they didn't play them. So they really had probably the group of death outside of maybe Falcons with the Vitality matchup on that side. So kudos to them. We don't even really have to talk about Falcons K-Corp. We already know. Like, we saw at the World Championship, both teams were looking great. But, yes, obviously Falcons had a tough road. K-Corp lost early, but then had to fight back through versus tough teams, and they got the revenge. So that's why, obviously, they are top 3, in case you were wondering. So, Ultimates, I'll have it number 4 for the time being. Dignitas is always a team, even going into this, even though they were 3, like we had 3 through 6 as pretty even. With Energy, GK, Dig, and Vitality. Dig's always one of those teams where I'm like, eventually they'll fall flat, right? Or like they might fall flat. And that's always like the hard thing of like trying to rank them that high. To be fair, I felt the same way with Vitality too. It's like, all right, they started to pick it up. They're starting to look good, but you know, like it could happen. And it happened to both of them, honestly, in this event, which makes the Energy win even better because I thought Energy in that same category. Same with GK, but GK and Energy both performed exceptionally well, which will help their rankings. So Dignitas falls flat, very flat. Losing a wild card is a bad result. I don't care how good wild card was playing. That is a bad result, 3-0. And then they lose to GK later. So obviously GK will be above them. So I'm going to move GK here now. And we'll move Dig down for the time being to 6. And they might move down further. It was a tough bracket only because they lost to Wildcard. They should have definitely beat Wildcard. Wildcard's an interesting one. I'm going to put them at 12 for now. We'll probably come back to them as we talk about other teams. So I'm just going to include their name here. But I'll come back to them after some other teams. So let's move on to, so you can't really see them, though, with the Space Station game. So I'll just put them at 11 so you can see them better with NIP. There you go. So you can see wildcards there. Let's go to Twisted Minds. We'll come back to Dig. Dig probably falls further. But actually, let's talk about Space Station. Space Station, I could probably start moving up. So Space Station. Losing 5 to Vitality. Obviously began up 2-0. I don't know if you're able to see this too well. You can't see it too well, but 4 goals and then 8 goals. They were up 12-0, and then they lost in 3 one-goal games. They have potential. That they just got to figure it out. They beat Gen G, so obviously that'll knock Gen G down a bit. And they took out Team Secret, which is a good result. So Space Station is definitely going to move up. Probably in the top 8 or so. Let me put... I'm going to move Space Station to 6 for now. That will change, but we'll just put Dig here. Well, let's put Twisted Minds here for now, and then we'll put Dig here. And we'll figure it out from here. So, good result there. They look like a very good team throughout it. They did fall later on to GK Esports. So, GK, very likely number 5 with a bullet there based on their top 4 performance. Even though GK finished further than Ultimates, it really comes down to how the bracket shaped up, right? Like GK gets Space Station, and they get Wildcard. Like the Wildcard matchup, it's really Ultimates versus K-Corp is very difficult, and GK gets Wildcard. You have to kind of give it like, hey, like Ultimates, if they would have played Wildcard, I assume they also would have won. GK, I assume, would have lost to K-Corp. So that is why Ultimates over GK. And throughout the season, obviously, GK was a little more up and down. They both had a finals. At the end of the day, though, Ultimates will get the spot. Even though Ultimates' last 2 tournaments were not in the top 8. That Grand Finals, now that's like the incumbents in the year, it's like, it just feels like, okay, we could put them back in the 4th place spot. It's still a hairy 4th place spot. There's still a giant gap here, guys, between 3 and 4. It's enormous. It's huge. I get it, though, Ultimates beat K-Corp, but still, I still consider that tier to be pretty big. All right, let's leave them there. Let's talk about Vitality. We'll figure out where we want to do with them. Vitality, again, fell a little flat. Took down Space Station. They woke up just in time, which a good result. They're probably going to move ahead of Space Station. Losing to Falcons is not a bad loss. Like, it's fine. And then they go down into the lower bracket, and they lost to Ninjas in Pajamas. So Ninjas in Pajamas is an interesting one, because obviously 2 very good wins. They lost to Energy in Game 5, which is a good result. Twisted Minds, they take down. Very close game. I can't remember what Game 5 was. Yeah, just 1-0. Game 5, then they take out Vitality, and then they lose to K-Corp. So honestly, like, Ninjas had a very good tournament. They were ranked 11th in my pre-rankings. They move ahead of Team Secret. They move ahead of Furia. do they move ahead of like the Digs and Vitalities of the world? I get it. They just beat Vitality. Is it enough based on a whole year? I think it's fine to put them ahead. It's one of those, like, do you care about the whole year or not? We just said we cared about it a little bit for the Ultimates. But I think I'd still put Vitality above Ninjas. Slightly. They're probably right next to each other. Dignitas as well is really tough. I feel like all three of these teams are very tightly ranked. Dignitas I'd probably have ahead of both of them. And then, yeah. So I'm going to say, like, for now, I'm going to axe Furia. Like, honestly, Furia is probably off the list, so I'm going to leave them off. We'll talk about them in a little bit here. We'll get rid of Ninjas there. We'll put Ninjas here for the time being. I think Space Station is still too high. So we're going to probably move them down as well. But for now, let's just leave it like this. Next up, let's talk about Furia. Furia looked like they were just crumbling. It looked like the old, I think it was 23 or 22 FaZe Clan, where the team just looked bad vibes, and it was not looking good. They took down Rock. That's a good result. Rock did look good throughout the tournament, but it looked like when they faced that upper echelon, they kind of crumbled, which is fair. It's their first time at one of these events, so like it's a win. It's not like an incredible win. And then they lose to K-Corp, but they lost a wild card as well. I think it just knocks them off the list. There's not really much to say about Furia. They have looked bad enough that, like, finally I'll put Team Secret above them. Even though Team Secret loses 19 out of 20 times to Furia, it's still, it's been enough times that it's like, like at this point, Furia just falls off the list. Team Secret's an interesting one. Again, they beat Twisted Minds, which is good. In the pre-rankings, if I go back to pre-Worlds, I believe Twisted Minds were higher. But they got the win there, which is a good result. Outside of that, they kind of did exactly what they were supposed to do, almost. Like, they felt like they did exactly like the same again as most events. And this has always been the problem to rank Team Secret, is like they had the one good event, and I'm like, show it to me twice. And they still haven't really shown it to me twice. They've just shown that, like, no, like after that one event, they've kind of been ranked in the right spot over and over and over again. Because if you look at the pre-rankings, yes, they did take down Twisted Minds, but then they lose to Space Station. And Space Station was also ranked 12th, right? So it's like, all right, you beat someone like 2 or 3 spots ahead of you. You lose to someone 2 or 3 spots below. It's like kind of even at the end of the day. So like 10's like, okay, for now. Like, I could see a 10 is probably pretty good here for them. Yeah, I like 10's good. I don't know. It just feels like I can't move them anywhere. All right. I think 10, we're locked in with Team Secret. That seems pretty good. I think the last few teams are Gentlemates, Wildcard, and Twisted Minds. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. Like Gen G, you could talk about them a little bit. Gen G got 3-0 by Falcons, got 3-1 by Space Station. There's not much to say. They're probably off the board. They did win play-ins over Rebellion, but they lost to Rock. I don't think they make the cut here. So I think it comes down to Wildcard, Twisted Minds, and Gentlemates. The issue is Gentlemates, obviously, were below Ninjas, but after what we just saw out of Ninjas, it kind of shows like, oh, like they fell below them, but they were still a very good team. Twisted Minds is tough. They've had good results all year. I think we'll leave Mates off the list just because Twisted Minds has had 2 top 8s. They've done very well. And they kind of fell a little bit short here, mostly due to the one upset with Team Secret. But again, Team Secret has been doing fine. It's not the worst loss in the world. And then they ran into a hot Ninjas in pajamas, right? So, like, I think we can keep Twisted Minds at least on the list. The thing is, Wildcard is an interesting one to me. Because, like, Wildcard, obviously 2 giant wins. One against Furia, which is, like, not as quality, because Furia's also been having a lot of troubles. Like, I could have seen that upset, like, if Furia kept up with their troubles. But, like, Wildcard had an awful year leading up to this event, so it's really hard to rank them. And then they take out Dig, which is a huge win, right? 3-0. And because of how our tournament is, if you go 2-0, you have such a big advantage and you get placed so incredibly high. One thing I will say is in playoffs, everyone's cheering on wildcard, obviously. It's big underdog. And it wasn't like pity votes of saying like these matches are close. These matches were pretty close. Like wildcard put up a fight here. We got 1-goal games, like 3 1-goal games. But still, it is a 4-1. And then versus GK, it was, I think, all 1-goal games. I think, yes, all 1-goal games. So very, very close there. I think they showed that they can be better than what they showed the rest of the year. But I'm always on the show me twice thing, right? And it's only one event. It is Worlds. It is the most important. I think I moved Twisted Minds up a spot for the full season, and I put Wildcard in number 12. But I think they at least earned the right to have a spot here over like a Mates. Like honestly, if it's Mates versus Wildcard, I think more times than not I'm picking Mates. But at the same time, it's fun to have Wildcard nonetheless. I don't know. Maybe it is a pity 12th place vote. I think, though, like if they did play a show match right now, honestly, I don't know. Because Wildcard, they did look pretty good. So it's tough. It's close. It's close enough that I'll put Wildcard there. I'm going to go back up and look at the... Space Station is still too high. I have to figure out what I want to do with Space Station. It's probably the last thing I will move. But I want to look at the final placements again just to refresh my memory and make sure I'm not missing anyone. So we have Energy, Falcons, and K-Corp all there. Ultimates there, GK there, Wildcard we have in 12th. Ninjas is here. Space Station is there. Dignitas, Furia. Furia we don't have on. Dig, I think, earns a spot still. Team Secret is still on the list. Vitality as well. I don't see putting any of these teams on except for Twisted Minds based on recent performance. And then, obviously, with the playing teams, I don't consider any of them. So, we have all the teams. Where does Space Station go? Let's look again here real quick. Space Station's road was a Game 5 loss to Vitality. And then they take down Gen G. They take down Space Station. I think I would have to put them below Vitality. Vitality's beaten them in both events. So, right there, I'm thinking 9. But also, I think Ninjas is better, too. Dig is a tough one because that wildcard loss was rough. And that really hurt them. But if I'm thinking about, throughout the year, they've been dominant against Vitality. They just made a grand finals recently. But they have fallen short 2 events in a row. Both times, though, to GK, who GK has looked pretty good. So sometimes it's it is their fault that they got put into that spot, at least in this bracket. It was not their fault last time. I think we're going to move Dig up. I think Dig still earns number 6. It's not there's another gap here. I feel like Ultimates and GK, and then that there's a bigger gap to 6. But I think we do. This is too long to write, so I'm just going to cut this out. I think we do this. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. How does this look? This list looks pretty good. Space Station lost to GK. A hot GK. Dignitas also lost to GK. Space Station faced Team Secret. While Dignitas had to play GK. But Dignitas did lose the wild card. I still think it's not enough to move Space Station up any higher than this. Because Ninjas and Majamas obviously played pretty well throughout this tournament to earn the spot above them. I think there's an argument to have Ninjas above Vitality. But it's one of those, it's tough. It's only one event. It is the one head-to-head. It's tough. Because pre-this, that's such a big gap. They lost energy. Let me look at Ninjas again. They lost energy, beat Twisted Minds, beat Vitality, lost to K-Corp. Vitality. Where is Vitality? I can't even find it. They beat Space Station. They lose to Falcons. They lose to Ninjas. I think I will flip them. I'll put Ninjas here. They showed up when it mattered most. I'll give it to him. And again, there's probably going to be comments like, oh, well, he used one logic source for this rank, but the other logic source for a different rank. And yeah, that's just how these power rankings are. It's incredibly tight. Now, I think we're locked. I think we're locked here. I think this is what I am going to go on. So French, they kind of fell apart a little bit towards the end of the year. They did get an extra team in number 12 here, obviously, with wild card. 3 new French players. Like, brand new French players. Like, I can't believe it. They were, they were born 2 days ago at this point. But let's talk about it. Energy, Falcons, a K-Corp. Then there's a Giant Cap. Again, Wave Punk, length, arms, gap, in my opinion. 2 Ultimates and GK. Then another decently sized gap based on this performance at the very least. 2 a Dignitas, 2 a Ninjas, 2 a Vitality, 2 a Space Station, 2 a Team Secret. I would probably include them. I would honestly include 6 through 11 even in the same type of tier. Maybe that's pushing it a little bit. Maybe there's a small gap between Space Station and then Team Secret, like a minor one, and then Team Secret, Twisted Minds, and Wild Card. That's probably what it is. So huge gap between 3 and 4. Medium gap between 5 and 6. 6 through 9 in the same category. And then, which I might even be pushing that. It might actually be Space Station's part of this category with Team Secret. And then some small gap here somewhere. And then, yeah, I think that's where we're going to leave it. Team Secret, good job on you just like never moving after you got into these ranks. Just sat at that 10th spot. It was like, yep, we're good. We're going to do exactly what we're supposed to do. Maybe trade here or there. But yeah, I think these are our final rankings. Let me know in the comments below. I will actually try and show you this a little bit bigger. So in case people care, if you want to do a little screenshot. This is too big. There we go. We're going to sleep on the screenshot. Hold on. All right, here we go. Looking beautiful as always. But these are my final global power rankings. Let me know why I'm wrong. Everyone's going to say I'm wrong for some reason or another, and I appreciate it. Go for it. Let me know your opinions below. And, yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for this fantastic year. We will have other videos. We got to talk about, obviously, RLCS 2026. A lot of big things happen. I really want to talk about that LAN in December because that has major implications on a lot of things. And I'm like, maybe that's too much implication, in my opinion. But that'll be for another video. So thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.